The EU is keen to sign trade deals with global partners like Canada, Japan, the US, and others in the Mediterranean, Asia, and Latin America. Lately, there's been a lot of talk about transparency and criticism on how trade deals are made. So the first question is, why does Europe do these trade deals?
We are an electronics development company. We work on contracts, developing industrial, medical cameras for specific customer applications. We do a lot of business with the United States, and we do almost exclusively exports. And we expect from free trade agreements in general that it lowers barriers and helps small companies to address new markets.
From the consumer perspective, trade deals can be good because they will put pressure on markets, because there will be more competition on domestic markets. That means normally, in theory at least, lower prices, better products, higher quality and innovation. So this is good for consumers.
Negotiating trade agreements is complex and involves different players: the European Parliament, the governments through the Council, the European Commission, civil society and businesses, big and small. The European Commission receives a mandate from the EU's member states to negotiate on their behalf. So, does everything happen behind closed doors?
When we negotiate, every time before a negotiation round and after a negotiation round, we report to the Council or their representatives and to the European Parliament. And we also engage regularly with the civil society, so it's open, and we try to make negotiations as transparent and engaging as possible.
And we believe that it should become a principle that we should not always have to kindly and politely request access to the mandate and access to the position paper. So this is the first step, make transparency a default rule.
We have published basically all the European texts online, the negotiating positions, the background papers, a lot of reports and references are online for everybody to see. And this is very deliberate because I think transparency is key in order to get acceptance and confidence on these negotiations.
The process of trade negotiation has really changed. So the Parliament is deeply involved and the Council is also deeply involved, and there is a democratic control of the process, and that's important.
There should also be a possibility to really provide constructive input to the Commission, and that's still missing for the moment, I would say.
As in every complex negotiation, with a lot of stakeholders, there are different viewpoints. So how can you involve as many voices as possible?
Many stakeholders, for instance, representatives of the trade unions, the business, small and big alike, environmental organizations, consumers organizations, they are very important because they have specific knowledge and they highlight concerns sometimes. Have you thought about this or that? And that is very important because it feeds into the process when we elaborate our negotiating positions, and then we can report back to them.
Je pense qu'il est très important que l'Europe puisse défendre ses valeurs et sa législation, ses standards, si on fait des accords avec tous les autres pays de la planète. Quand même, ce sont des accords, les accords bilatéraux, que ce soit avec le Japon, que ce soit avec la Corée du Sud, que ce soit avec le Canada ou les États-Unis, qui concernent la vie quotidienne des citoyens européens.
We have access to the protocol of the negotiations, so we are really aware about the things which are going on. And we are really serious inside the European Parliament and not shy to reject bad agreements.
So it's important that everyone knows what is happening and that the Council and Parliament are well informed. But where does this process lead?
A good and fair deal that is good for the consumers, for the workers, for the business in Europe is what we are aiming at. But I think there will be very few surprises in the end text. There will be a draft to say yes or no. That will have to be adopted by member states and the European Parliament.
So, after the Commission gets a mandate from the EU's member states, it works with the European Parliament. It listens to businesses, big and especially small, and it engages with civil society. It pays attention to all voices. It has to if trade deals are to work, because in the end, trade is all about jobs and growth. The EU's member states and the European Parliament are involved throughout the negotiations, and it is they who have the final say to approve or reject the deal.